Goes from number 1 to number 5. Number 5 is the highest. Very proud to say that Hampden is the only football stadium in Scotland that has a 5. Both Celtic and Rangers have a 4. And one of the reasons you get a 5 is that both changing rooms have to be identical in size and in the facilities. And the reason for that basically means you can have a neutral game. Because think about it, automatically if you say the home changing room, you kind of feel that they've got an advantage, don't they? That's why we call it West and East. And both at Celtic Park and at Ibrox, the away changing room is half the size of the home. That's deliberate. That's absolutely. But of course here, as you'll see later on, we'll go to the home changing room. They're identical. Maybe not quite in terms of size, but certainly with all the facilities. What you'll also be able to do in a moment is wander through here. This area here is for the players, but the managers, the coaches and the physios, they've also got their own changing room, and it's through here, and you can have a wee wander and take some pictures in there as well, which is great. So where's my Celtic fans? Where's my Celtic fans in here? Well, this of course would have been Celtic's changing room last Sunday when we won the semi-final, of course the cup final, so you have a wee wander through there. I also think though that they've got a separate area, not just for privacy, but to get away from the noise that the current players call music, so they can shut that down, can't they? Now the facilities are the same in both. First thing is, in either side there are 2 physio rooms, 1 on each side, and also in my day when they played football, all the footballers would come in at the end and jump into one big bath. Of course that will never happen now with health and safety, so we have individual showers, individual baths, and you can also see this as well, we have a cryo bath. Now a cryo bath is to help with injuries. Players can either stand or sit in it, and the temperature can be dropped or it can be raised to help with muscle injuries. Now I did say they were identical, but there's one tiny difference in this changing room which I always like to point out to people. So it's 99.9% the same. The difference is this metal strip here. Now this was put in at the insistence, I'm going to say that again, the insistence of the German FA when Germany came to play Scotland in 2003 in a Euro qualifier. They thought the Scotland team might be spying on them. So they wanted a bit of extra privacy. Now if I could just put that into perspective for you, in the German team was Oliver Kahn, Michael Ballack and Miroslav Klose. And we had Rab Douglas, Colin Cameron and Stevie Crawford. We're going to put 50 people out, still not won the game. So folks, feel free, wander around, take some photographs. If you want me to take a picture of you and your party, I'm happy to do it. And you boys stand there a second. Yeah, Charlie. These are all up for my year. I'm sure you noticed on the left hand side there are 4 lockers. These were obviously for the referee, the 2 lines people and the 4th official. But the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed we have another 2 lockers over there. Can anybody tell me who used to use those lockers? Shall I tell you? Well, do you remember for a few seasons we had 2 extra officials and they stood behind the goal with a wee black flag? Now can anybody tell me what they did? Because I don't know, UEFA don't know. Now thankfully we have VAR and there's no controversy whatsoever, is that? It's great. So directly behind us, you will see there's a TV screen. That TV screen is allowed to stay on up until 15 minutes before kick-off. It's then switched off and it's not allowed on again until after the match. Why do you think that might be? Okay, I'll tell you. It's in case they're influenced if they watch something. Because have a think about it. Celtic and Rangers are playing a big match. The referee, so I'm led to believe they do occasionally make bad decisions. So he's made a terrible decision in the first half. What happens at half time? It gets shown over and over from every angle on the TV. All the pundits call him a muppet. How did he miss it? You can't, how the referee, the linesman's useless. Now if you're sitting there, you can't help being influenced by that. So you'll go out in the second half and give Rangers 2 penalties instead of their normal 1. Come on, you've got to give me 1 joke. Come on, it's only fair. Now directly behind us here is a digital clock. The digital clock is also in the changing room you've just been in and will be in the home changing room, which we're going to later. Of course, as you can imagine, that's just to tell people how long you've got before kick-off time. And then 10 minutes before the kick-off, sorry, so I'm going to squeeze past you. I'll open this door so you'll be able to hear this. The referee does this. Hear the bell? That bell goes off in both changing rooms, and that's the signal to tell the players it's time to go to the tunnel. We're not going to the tunnel quite yet, it's my favourite part of the tour, but I'm going to do something fun before we go and do that. Okay, so follow me. Since then, there's been some incredible stadiums built, better than Hampden, let's be honest. The Etihad, the Emirates, and the one I'm desperate to see is the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It looks amazing. Anybody been yet? Anybody been to the Tottenham Stadium? I can't wait to go and see it. It looks spectacular. However, and they've got their own indoor warm-up area, but this is still the largest, so we're really proud of this. This is also used, I was about to say Hampden have pop concerts. How old do I sound, eh? Pop concerts. Hampden have concerts. We've had everybody here from Jerry Cinnamon, Rolling Stones, Genesis, they've all been here. And this area is turned into a hospitality place. It's been things like a Hawaiian ballroom, I think when Beyonce came here. It's been an Space Invader arcade. But there are 2 pop stars who said, don't change it, leave it. We want to come in and play football. Do you want to have a guess who they might be? Rod Stewart is one of them. Yes, Rod Stewart's one. Who's the other one? Good guess. Good, big Ipswich fan, isn't he? Good guess. It's not Ed. I'll give you a clue though. It was a pop star who used to be in a boy band. Robbie Williams. Who got it? Yes, well done. 5 points. Robbie Williams. They're the only 2. Has everybody heard of a band called the Eagles? Heard of the band called the Eagles? Well, when they came to play, this had to be split into 5 different sections. Why? Because they don't speak to each other. Do you remember the underground road we were in earlier on? Each one of the members of the band had a 10-minute slot for an individual car to drop them off from their individual hotels. How ridiculous when you've got that kind of money you don't talk to each other. One last thing we're going to do in here, only if you want to, mind you, you have a chance to score a goal at Hampden Park. And I'll show you how to do it. Behind us here, this screen registers just how fast you hit a shot. I'm going to tell you, if you want to do it, how to get the best shot. So below the screen, there's a little black box. That's the thing that actually registers your shot. So when you take your shot, make sure you aim towards this. So try and get it right down the centre and aim. So not just about power, because it doesn't count unless you score the goal. And if you remember your score and you come into the museum, if I'm there, either me or any of the other 2 guys, we can give you a wee certificate to take away. Who would like to go first? Nobody want to do it? Oh, I was going to say. There we go. Now, forgive me, skip the Rangers supposed to happen. Right, come on. Show me an alley that goes special, right? Alley that goes special. Whoa! What a finish, man. Well played. About Scottish football. So Rangers in total have won 58 league titles overall. Celtic have won 52 league titles. Who comes next in the list? Good guess, so that's what most people say. So good. I'm going to give you 3 points for the guess because that is what most people say, but it's not Aberdeen. Yes or no? Hearts. It's not even Hearts. Also a good guess. That's 3 points. That's a very good guess. I'm going to give you 4.5 points because you're all very much along the right lines, but it's not even Queen's Park. Hibs is a good guess. I'm going to give you 3.5 points as well. So I tell you, you'll be surprised. There are 2 teams that have won 10 league titles. One of them only a couple of weeks ago. They are Morton and Stirling Albion. As people forget, we have to talk about all of Scottish football. Let's just not keep focusing on Celtic and Rangers look after themselves pretty well, but we also have to remember there's another 40 teams in Scotland. And these days, of course, we have the full pyramid system, so people like Pollock Juniors or Auchinleck can actually find their way up through the system and into the Scottish League. I think it's a wonderful system that we have. So let's always talk about all of Scottish football. Scottish Cups now. Celtic have won it 40 times. Rangers have won it 34 times. Who comes next in the list?
Hearts.
Who comes next in the list?
Queen's Park.
Queen's Park, yes! Queen's Park have won the Scottish Cup 10 times. 10 times. Albeit the last time was in the 1890s, but that doesn't count. They still won the Scottish Cup 10 times. We owe so much to Queen's Park. We really do. The Scotland jersey, the dark blue jersey, when Scotland played England the first time, Scotland didn't have a jersey. So what did they do? They borrowed Queen's Park. Queen's Park played in dark blue. We owe the Scotland jersey to Queen's Park. They then, of course, went on to take the black and white hoops. And in terms of the players who've come through the ranks, Andy Robertson, which is the Scotland captain, started at Queen's Park. Also, currently playing for Hearts. Where's my Hearts fan? Where's my Hearts fan? Yes, Lawrence Shankland, playing for Hearts, started at Queen's Park. Also, a couple of goalkeepers that some of us might remember, who's as old as me, people like Bobby Clark, Jim Cruikshank, started at Queen's Park. Now, maybe somebody here can help me with this one. I always forget his name. He's a famous Scottish footballing person. His second name is Ferguson. What's his first name? Anybody? Alex Ferguson, that's what it is. Sir Alex Ferguson started his career here in Queen's Park. Let's not forget that. We owe so much to this football club, and they are Scottish football's oldest team. And you never know, they might even make it back into the Premier League this year through the playoffs. Not at the expense of Man United, I hope not. The other thing I will say to you is Stevie Clarke, the Scotland manager, is doing, in my opinion, a fabulous job. One of the reasons I think he's doing that is he fosters a club environment. Most international teams, you'll find that all the Celtic players will sit together, all the Rangers players will sit together, all the Motherwell players will sit together. Stevie Clarke doesn't like that. What he likes to do is he'll sit people in a number order, so that we'll basically get used to being, we're all in it together. You know, it's not individuals, it's a whole. And how good were we against Spain? Did everybody watch the Spain game? One of the best Scotland performances I think I've ever seen in my life. Wonderful. So what he does, if you think about the player, where's my John McGinn fan? You're there, right, I'm going to tell you where John McGinn sits. You can work it out yourself. So, where this young gentleman is sitting, number 1, number 2, number 3, you're the captain, so you're Andy Robertson, number 4, number 5, number 6, and where this young lady is sitting, that's where John McGinn sits, so make sure you sit there and get a photograph. And if you've got a favourite Scotland player, work out from the number. But I would also suggest you do it the other way too, because sometimes Stevie Clarke will come in and say, no, we're not doing it that way today, we're doing it that way. So we can then have number 1, 2, 3 and all the way up. So folks, again, feel free to wander around, take some photographs, make sure you go into this area where Stevie Clarke and his team would be, and then we'll move on once you've had your pictures. If you want me to take a picture of you and your party, I'm more than happy to do that. No way. Okay, folks, I'd be happy to move on to the next part of the show. We're going to go to my favourite part. Who stood here before you? Although Hampden's been redone many times, as I keep saying, 1999 was the last time. This size of area has always been the same. So this tunnel area, where we are standing now, is the same original tunnel area. It goes all the way back to 1903. Of course, the decor has changed. On match day, so the next time you're watching a big game from Hampden, if you're watching the Scottish Cup final, or when we're up playing your European qualifiers, the cameraman stands here, so he will pick up the home team, will be on that side, so that would be the Scotland team. If it would be be an international, it would be Rangers obviously, and Celtic would be on this side. So he'll be picking all this up, so you can now say, you know, where the guy that uses the camera stands. Now, have a think about all the players that have played here. All the world greats that have played where you're standing right now. George Best has played, just stood where we're standing right now. Pele has stood where we're all standing right now, the great Pele. John Clark, the Celtic player, marked him that day. It was a 1-1 draw in 1966. John Clark was so good, Pele got 12 touches of the ball. That's incredible, isn't it? So somebody else, give me, apart from Messi and Ronaldo, sadly, who've never played here, give me another world superstar, and I'll tell you whether he's played or not. Yes, young man. Maradona, not only did he play here, he scored his first ever goal for Argentina here at Hampden Park. Mind you, we didn't have doping control back then. Haaland, well, now that's a very good guess, but I'll tell you something about Haaland. Although he hasn't played, he is going to play here. Well, I actually hope he doesn't, because how good is he? What a wonderful footballer. Because Scotland are playing Norway, aren't they, in the championships? We play Norway first away from home, and then they're coming to Hampden Park. Well, what a privilege to see a player. Unbelievable footballer, isn't he? Probably the best striker I've ever seen. Anybody else? Yes,
Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne has played here, yes, for Belgium. He's played here for Belgium.
Mbappe, surely?
Mbappe, do you know, I was asked this question the other day, and I need to double check it, because there's people say he did play here in a friendly, not for his national team, but for Real Madrid. I need to double check that. Not for Real Madrid, sorry, for PSG. Zidane scored the winning goal in a European Cup final here in Champions League they call it now, isn't it? 2002. So when you go outside, you'll be able to look at the goal that he actually scored. Anybody else before we move on? Well, let's think about all the Scottish greats as well. Jock Wallace, Jock Stein, John Gregg, Billy McNeill, Willie Miller, Alex Ferguson, all stood where you guys are standing here right now. And I don't know about you, but it always gives me the hairs in the back of my neck when I think about it, to walk in the space of those giants. So what we're going to do now, folks, is I need to help me to use your imagination here. Do I have any future Scotland captains with me? Any future Scotland captains? No? No future Scotland captains here? Yeah? Right, well, I want the future Scotland captains to stand here for me, please, because you're going to lead your team out for me. Okay? Right, so let's get you all lined up two by two. Any other future Scotland captains want to lead the team out? Right, get behind these guys here. Right, future Scotland captains up here. Wonderful. Now, you need to use your imagination for me. There's no English fans here today, is there? Sadly, damn. Always like to get them lined up.
Well, I am English, so...
Right, over here, please, you are now the England captain.
Hand up to that one.
You're the England captain for today. So, use your imagination for me, folks. The year is 2030. Scotland are hosting the World Cup, and we've got to the final. I said use your imagination. Come on, I can't do it myself. Right, we're in the final. And you guys, finally, we're playing England. We can finally put peak to 1966. We're sick of hearing about it. And they can't get the goal that never was because we've got VAR. Right, so you've got a chance finally to tell us, oh, those Scottish people, shut up, we're going to win the World Cup again. So you're going to lead the team out. The only thing that we need is the 52,000 fans that will be waiting outside for you. So I'm just going to text the gate man and let them in. You don't believe it, do you? You don't think there's 52,000 fans waiting for you? Well, there is. And you'll hear them in a minute. There they are. Okay, boys, on you go. Lead your team out after you, sir. Good so, lads. Score our own goal for us, don't you? Folks, there's two cracking photographs to get here. First one is with the Hampden sign in the background, and the second one is in the tunnel area. So feel free to take photographs there, okay? Do you want to get together? I'll take you off there. Yeah, but I get that. Anybody else like a picture with our whole party together? Hey guys. Whether it's BT or Sky or whoever, that's where they base the TV people. 47, 48, 49, again, hospitality. And then right in the centre, Section J and Section O, that entire area there is one big hospitality suite. It's called the Millennium Suite. It's the most expensive there. I can't even afford a pint in there, never mind get in. Directly above it you'll see an M sign. Now that is from the Millennium Commission. You won't be able to see it from here, but where the number 66 is, behind there, I'm going to use a Scottish word, there's a little ducat, and that's where the commentators sit. Again, going from left to right, 51, 52, 53, more hospitality, and then finally the large roof at the end with the clear glass, that's Police Central. Hampden is one of the safest stadiums in the UK. All of the CCTV is piped back into that room. Now again, if I can bring you back to the centre, looking towards the tunnel, on the right hand side is the home dugout, so that's where Stevie Clark and his team would be, and of course the opposite is the away dugout. Directly behind them, and I keep meaning to find out what the actual name for these things are. I am going to call them shelves, but I'm sure there is a proper name. They would normally have cameras there. BT like to have cameras there. Also pitchside pundits before and after the match would stand there and talk. Again, going behind that to the right and left, you'll see some blue desks. That's for all the rest of the press. So that could be radio people, that could be some TV people, even from abroad. And also, so radio, TV, who have I missed out, and the newspapers, of course. And every single desk has a PowerPoint, it has a computer point, and of course a phone point, so that everything can be sent back instantaneously. One last thing I'm going to like you to do before we move on is, at any cup final, there are winners and losers. Only one person gets the cup, but everybody gets a medal. Who would like to go up and pick up an imaginary medal? Yes, come on. I'll show you how to do it. So this is how the players do it. They go up this side, get to the top, pick up their medal, and then they'll come down that side. About the Scottish Cup again. The Scottish Cup is the oldest football trophy in the world. I shall say that again, in the world. Now if there was any English fans here, where's my English fan? Now sir, you should be saying, hang on a minute Tom, take your temperature, because the FA Cup is the oldest competition in the world. Both facts are actually true. The FA Cup was won in 1895 by Aston Villa. As is traditional, the cup went back to the home city of Birmingham. It was put on display in a butcher shop, it was stolen, and it was never recovered. So the FA Cup you see today is a replica, as I remind all my English supporting pals as often as I can. The Scottish Cup is indeed the oldest trophy in the world, football trophy in the world. You will see it today. Everybody going into the museum after this, yes? Well, it's actually in the museum. The actual Scottish Cup is there, and it's one I get to see every day. It's fantastic. It's my favourite trophy in the whole of football. It's actually quite a small trophy. It's only about 2 feet high. What makes it look big is the plinth underneath, because obviously every time a team wins it, we have to keep adding the name onto it. So we have to keep adding to the bottom. So you'll see that when you go inside. Estimated to be worth somewhere in the region of £2.5 million. Isn't that incredible? Now, earlier on today I did tell you that Scotland were the first ever world and European champions, and all of you disbelieved me, didn't you? Well, I'm going to prove you it actually happened. So would you all agree with me that if Scotland beat every single international team on the planet all in one season, they should be world and European champions? Yes, you'd agree with that? Of course you would. Well, it happened, and it happened in 1884. It was the the inaugural British Home International Championships. We beat Wales 4-1, we beat Ireland 5-0, and we murdered England 1-0. They were the only 3 other international teams on the planet at the time. The next team wouldn't arrive until 1897, that would be Belgium. FIFA wouldn't arrive until 1904, and UEFA 1954. So Scotland were the first ever British, European and world champions. Remember that the next time 1966 gets mentioned, okay? We're going to let you do one last thing, folks, but before we do that, just a wee favour for you, from me, if you don't mind. The Scottish Football Museum, you might not know, is actually run by a charity. It's a charitable organisation. As I said earlier on, despite the fact I'm a big Celtic supporter, Celtic and Rangers, they're businesses, they look after themselves, and they get far, far too much attention in Scottish football. Please, if you get the chance, leave us a wee review on TripAdvisor. We want to get as many people along here as we possibly can. All of the guides here are dedicated to preserving the history of Scottish football and passionate about sharing that history, particularly with the younger generations. So please take a moment, leave us a review, tell us what you liked today, but please also tell us what you didn't like, what you think we can improve on. We are determined to make this the best possible experience, not just for Celtic and Rangers fans, but for all supporters of all clubs. If you enjoyed the tour today, my name is Tom Kelly. If you didn't, it's Gareth Southgate. One last thing, folks, before I take you into the museum, was anybody here like a photograph with the Scottish Cup? Yeah, well, me too.
In 1881, Scotland beat England 6 goals to 1. It remains England's heaviest home defeat. The Scottish captain that day was called Andrew Watson, and remarkably, he was black. The first black international footballer in the world. A fullback for Queen's Park, Andrew Watson should have been a pioneer known to many and proudly admired. He's largely a forgotten figure consigned to the margins of football history, and no one knows quite why. Andrew Watson's story is truly remarkable. Born in British Guyana of a Scottish farmer, he was educated by the English public school system and then at Glasgow University. He led Queen's Park to 3 Scottish Cups, 4 Glasgow Charity Cups, and was capped 3 times for his country. Today we're used to seeing foreign imports like Bobo Baldi and Marvin Andrews playing in Scottish football. By contrast, Watson was unique. Scotland's first black player.
We would go to the park, just like a field, to put our jumpers down and play football that way.
Would you not want to go out in school?
No, obviously during the day.
But if he was playing football at school, that's probably what he would have done as well.
Go through this bit, we've got the modern stuff. Look for it to see.
Had he been a Rangers supporter,
I didn't actually say that. How old is Van Dijk? I've got me. Since 1990 to 2020. Hampden Park. It's Porsche! Scotland won the World Cup. To see that was hilarious. The best goal ever.
Trouble is with football, you just get talking, don't you forget all of the time.
Across European football, this stadium is steeped in history. It's open to everyone, but we want people with a love and a passion of the game.
Yeah. Not a problem. Oh, they're not watching that.
This is where Andy Robertson does the thing.